Start with the prayers. Om
Samaram
Vande Guru Paramparam.
Saraswati
Suktam Bhagavate Kamatini Vidyam Karishyami Bhavatu Kada.
Om
Satyam Paravavahe Bhavati Tamastavahe
Om Shanti.
Vasudevendra Yogindram Tattva Mukshunam Hitaya Tattva Om Namah Shivaya.
Okay, so we were doing Avasthatrayam, the 3 states of experience. We finished Jagrat Avastha, the waking state of experience, and also Swapna Avastha, the dream state of experience. And now we have to see the last one, that is the Sushupti Avastha, the deep sleep state of experience. So we can read this first. अथ सुषुप्त्यवस्था का
अथ सुषुप्त्यवस्था
अहं किमपि न जानामि
अहं किमपि न जानामि
सुखेन मया निद्रानुभूयत
सुखेन मया निद्रानुभूयत
सुषुप्त्यवस्था
इति
सुषुप्त्यवस्था
कारणशरीराभिमानी आत्मा
कारणशरीराभिमानी आत्मा
प्राज्ञा इत्युच्यते
प्राज्ञोच्यते.
Okay. So now we talk about Sushupti Avastha, the third and final state of experience, the deep sleep state. So we have all experienced deep sleep, right? So we're all familiar with it. Now this is a peculiar state of experience, right? If I ask you, what did you experience in deep sleep? What will you say? What is the answer to what is the experience in deep sleep?
Nothing.
Nothing. No experience.
Yes, that I didn't experience anything. The experience is of experiencing nothing, right? This is the peculiarity of this deep sleep state. Okay, so in this deep sleep, are you aware of anything? Are you aware of what is happening in the world outside?
No.
No. Are you aware of your body?
No.
Or even where you fell asleep? Are you even aware whether you fell asleep on the floor, on the bed, or somewhere else?
No.
Are you aware what position you fell asleep? Sitting, lying down?
No.
Nothing.
Once you're sleeping, you're not aware of any of these things. Are you aware of your thoughts or your mind?
No.
No. Are you aware of who you are? What is your name? Who you are in the world?
No.
Are you aware of your own name? or your own identity in this world, your role in this world. I'm a mother, I'm a father, I'm this and that. Are you aware?
No.
No. So basically, in sleep, there is no awareness or no knowledge of anything. The subject object duality is totally dissolved. Okay, there is no knowledge of anything at all. There is no experience of anything at all. And this is a peculiar state of experience of deep sleep, that there is no knowledge, no experience, no awareness of anything. Okay, and so that is what the first line says. Aham kimapi na janami. Aham means me. Kimapi na, or na janami means don't know. Kimapi, I don't even know who I am. I don't even know anything. Right? All the thoughts, all my mind, everything is totally dissolved in deep sleep. There is no experience, there is no knowledge. It is a peculiar experience that has nothing. It is an experience of no experience. Right? So aham kimapi na janami, that is total ignorance. I don't know anything at all in deep sleep. Now, once you don't know anything, you don't know where you are, who you are, you don't know anything. What happens? The individuality is dissolved. Okay, not the individual, the individuality is dissolved. Because you as the individual are still here when you are sleeping, right? But the notion of individuality is totally resolved in sleep. Why? Because the mind is resolved back into Karanam in deep sleep. Okay, so most of the Sukshma Shariram is resolved back to Karanam in deep sleep. And in this state of total absence of knowledge, total ignorance of not knowing, of not experiencing what exists, because there is no individuality, all the problems and limitations associated with that individuality, they are also resolved. And that is why the experience of sleep is a happy one. Sleep is a happy state because there is no more differences, there is no more duality, there is no more anything to trouble. And so it is a happy state. So these are the two main characteristics of deep sleep. Deep sleep, one is ajnanam, total ignorance, and other is sukhena, sukha, happiness. So ajnana and sukham. These are the two main characteristics of this deep sleep. The mind is resolved, and because of that, no individuality, no knowledge, no subject-object duality, and therefore all the associated problems with that are also resolved. So there is happiness. Okay, probably this was why the snooze button was invented, because everyone loves to sleep and no one likes to wake up again, right? We struggle to wake up. So that is why sukhena, it is associated with sleep. Okay. So sukhena maya nidranubhuyat. This sleep is experienced by me iti sushupti avastha. This is called as sushupti avastha. Okay, is this clear?
Metaji,
Yeah.
if this is a non-experience, the experience of non-experience, why do we still call it an state of experience?
Because when you wake up, you know you were sleeping, right?
Yes.
If it was total nothingness, then even that much should not have been possible. But through a passive mind, through a resolved mind, there is a subtle kind of experience, a very subtle kind of experience. That's why it's very difficult to put into words. If I ask anybody to explain your sleep to me, you know that you had an experience where the experience was nothing. But more than that, you cannot describe, right?
Megha ji, it's something like no knowledge is good knowledge. Like you are not aware of anything, and that is why you are in a peace.
Yes, but it is temporary peace, right? You have to wake up eventually.
Yeah.
Oh,
And people in
Medhaji.
the world are still waiting. They have not gone anywhere.
Oh,
Yeah.
Medhaji, can we also say like this that there is ignorance of the world, yet there is experience of the true nature of the consciousness over here?
No.
No.
It is not an experience of consciousness.
So Medhaji, is it like
Because consciousness cannot be experienced.
So, but the Sukham concept, the Sukham comes from somewhere, right? That feeling which is there, which is that connect. Maybe one cannot understand, but that is present, right?
That is ever present.
Minus the ignorance of the minus the ignorance of the waking state.
Minus the ignorance. When do you minus the ignorance?
Like in deep sleep, there is ignorance, completely ignorance of everything. So if in the waking state, we are aware of whatever is happening in the external environment, if that is minus of that, then the happiness still exists, right? So
Happiness
is
exists all the time. You just have to claim it.
so if in the waking state, if we just realize that, then that happiness would automatically just be there somewhere behind that mind, which is there, which we are not seeing, right? Which we are
Happiness
not
is not
experiencing.
anything that is a strange new thing for us. We've all experienced the happiness. The only problem is what? It goes after some time. Why? Because it is dependent on some external object. Something from outside revealed my own happiness to me. But now, with understanding, you have to realize that there is no external thing needed because that is your very nature.
Right. Thank you.
so Medhaji?
Yeah.
This is the same experience like when we meditate, and sometimes we feels like there is nothing, but we are aware of that. We are conscious of this state. So is it the same experience?
Is there total nothing? Are you not aware that you know nothing at that moment? Don't you have at least one thought that, oh, I have no thoughts right now?
Yeah, after certain point of time, it comes like it was nothing for a while, or
In sleep, when you are in sleep, you cannot even say, I am asleep. The experience of sleep can only be claimed after you wake up. So in
yes.
meditation, what you are saying is possible, but in samadhi, in nirvikalpa samadhi. But in just simple meditation, concentration meditation, it is not the same thing. You may have refined your mind down to one thought or maybe one concentration, one pointedness, but it is not still the absence or the whole resolution of the mind.
Okay. Is it possible?
What is possible?
Like to reach that state with the consciousness?
Nirvikalpa samadhi?
Yeah.
It's possible, but is it necessary is the real question.
Okay.
Because what will you achieve in Nirvikalpa Samadhi? What is it that you want to achieve through Nirvikalpa Samadhi? If you say moksha, moksha is not possible through Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Moksha is only possible through knowledge. Knowledge is possible through what you are doing now. Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, Miraji, but the jnanis who wrote this knowledge, who wrote the Vedas, gained this knowledge by meditation, right? They discovered the Vedas, they heard the Vedas during their meditation.
The Rishis discovered the Vedas, not the Jnanis. Rishis heard the Vedas. Rishis are mantra drashtas. They are the seers of the mantras of the Vedas. That doesn't necessarily make them jnanis.
I mean, but even if rishis, but they discovered it through meditation, and that's how we got this knowledge in the first place.
Yes.
And you just mentioned that meditation, nirvikalpa samadhi would not give you moksha, only knowledge will. But I was thinking that we got the knowledge from meditation, right?
You think of it from your point of view. For you, is it necessary for you to go to tapas for 70 years, rediscover the whole Vedas, become a mantra drishta, and then, then try to understand what is being said and then acquire moksha? Because as of right now, sitting where you are sitting, the knowledge is available to you, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes. What more you need? That is the point. It is probably possible. I am not dismissing it. But is it necessary? Is the question. What do you hope to achieve by undertaking these things? That is the question. And that you need to have clarity.
Maybe with meditation, we acquire more qualification, more better qualities which are needed for studying the knowledge. You know, what we studied in summer qualifications.
That you do need to meditate. But you have to be clear that I am meditating for Chitta Shuddhi. And finally, you still have to come back to Jnanam. You still have to come back and study. Okay? All right. So now,
Meghaji, is it like we said, Shravanam, Manan, and Kirtan? So is Nidhi Vyasnam and Kirtan is the same thing or it's a different?
I said Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam. Kirtan is not a part of this.
Okay.
They are two different things.
Oh, Medhaji.
Yeah.
So can we say that assimilation is helped through the samadhi or meditation, dhyan?
The assimilation is the removal of the vasanas, the habitual tendencies. It is the, the replacing your subconscious with the predominant aham brahmasmi thought. So the concentration, that would help. Even the meditation on the Vedantic teaching, that would help. What Nirvikalpa Samadhi or all these Samadhis would do is train the mind to learn how to concentrate. Then concentration is an easy matter for you. And then you can choose the object of your concentration, which would be the Vedantic teaching.
Okay, thank you.
Medhaji, could you please explain Nididhyasanam?
Nididhyasanam is the assimilation of the teachings. So there are 3 steps in Jnanam: Shravanam, Mananam, and Nididhyasanam. Shravanam means listening to the teaching. So through Shravanam, the ignorance is removed. So at the end of Shravanam, you have Samshaya Sahita Jnanam. You have knowledge, but you also have doubts. That how is this possible? Is it really true? These kind of doubts. Then at the end of Mananam, Mananam is the process of going over it, resolving your doubts. You can do this in any number of ways, by yourself, with the teacher, with other students, by coming back and listening again. So basically resolving all the doubts. So at the end of Mananam, you have knowledge, and this knowledge is now doubt-free knowledge. No more doubts. You don't doubt it at all. Okay, so at the end of Mananam, you have Samshaya Rahita Jnanam. And then, this is still not enough, right? Just because you have doubt-free knowledge, is it enough? No. This knowledge now has to, become a part of your daily tendencies. It should replace all the old tendencies, and then only you start experiencing the benefits of this knowledge. So there are a lot of people who say that, oh, I've been attending class for 5 years, 10 years, still nothing, I still have problems, I still am unhappy. That is because Nididhyasanam has not happened. It is the Nididhyasanam is the replacing of the Viparyayas. Viparyayas are the habitual tendencies. So the example given, there's a nice example given. So, you know, suppose you have a car, okay, and you hang the key of the car in a particular place. And then one day you sell the car. Okay, so now the car has gone, the keys have gone, everything is gone. And next day you're going out. And what is the habit? You immediately go to the place where the key is hung and try to take the key. And after a moment, you realize, oh, I sold the car. The key and the car are not here anymore. Right? It takes one moment. It's not that you have forgotten that you have sold the car. It is not that you have any doubt that you sold the car. It is not that there is any, any lack of knowledge that about selling the car. You know that you have sold the car. You doubtlessly know that you have sold the car. But still, out of one moment of habit, you go there to take the key, right?
Yeah.
That is a tendency. That is a viparyaya. So that has to be overcome. And that is nididhyasana. Because at the end of all the study, Shravanam and Mananam, there is still the tendency to go back to thinking that I am a jiva. That has to be overcome. That is assimilation. That is nididhyasana.
Thank you so much, Mataji.
So,
Medaji,
yeah.
may we compare the Nitidhyasanam for the cow chewing the food after eating the food? Repeatedly, it keeps chewing.
Yes.
So Nitidhyasanam, is it not somewhat like that? So you keep chewing on the things you have heard and you have thought about it, the
Yes,
doubts
you have
getting.
to instill it into your mind.
Thank
That
you.
is why the difference is between jnanam and jnana nishtha. At the end of Shravanam Mananam, you are a jnani. But at the end of Nididhyasanam, you are jnana nishtha.
So how do we compare pure innocence of a child without any knowledge accumulated or heard or contemplated upon versus an adult with so many mindsets, yet he has heard something in the Tattva Bodha or the Vedanta, yet he is unable to dissolve the effects of the three gunas, then just the knowledge alone will not help him, right? Without getting rid of the mindsets.
That's why Chitta Shuddhi is very important. Knowledge alone will not work. The knowledge has to work in a mind that is ready for that knowledge. Otherwise, the words will simply fall there, but they will not.
So
have
that is why contemplative meditation, in addition to the Vedantic knowledge, both are important, I would think.
Yes, but the contemplative meditation would come after Pavanam and Mananam. That is why somewhere around the 6th chapter of Gita.
Okay, thank you.
Metaji, Jnananishta is the same of Jivanmukta?
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
Metaji, how to change the mindset then? You have done the Shabanam, you've done Shabanam, but you know there are the certain patterns. Like, you know, you always used to keep your keys there. But how do you come out of the patterns then?
What do you do in the case of the keys?
I will, like, one minute I'll realize it's not there, but probably next morning also my mind should go. I will keep finding till I get some out of it. So it's in a way.
Yeah, you will do this maybe for 2 days, 3 days, maybe even for a week, right? But every morning you are repeatedly reminding yourself, okay, the keys are not here, the car is not here. And then sometime even in the night, okay, tomorrow morning I should not go and try to look for the keys again. The car is not here. And you go on telling yourself again and again. And one day it drops off, right?
Yeah. So
That's
that means whatever pattern you want to become, you want to break it, you first become aware and you keep telling yourself, and slowly that pattern goes away.
yes, this becoming aware is what we are doing now in class.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
The literal meaning of the word nishtha is to be established.
Yeah. Firmly established.
Oh, Medhaji.
Yeah.
Recently, Ravi sir gave one Manana question in the group. It said that pragya and pragya, difference of these two words.
Yeah.
So, is this Sushupti Avastha can be called as pragya also, because we do not know anything? We are special kind of fool.
Yeah.
Prakarshana
So-
Agya. Is that same way?
So the last line says, Karana Sharirabhimani Atma Pragnya Ityuchyate. So that Atma, that consciousness, the one who is identified with Karana Sharira, is called as Pragnya. Okay, Pragnya. Now, Pragnya can be taken to mean the ignorant one, because in sleep there is total ignorance. Okay, this is different from the word Pragnya. Pragnya means wisdom or the wise man, that kind of notation, but Pragnya is a different word meaning the total opposite, the ignorant one.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so with this we have finished Sushupti Avastha. There is one small thing that you have to understand before we finish this, that when this resolution happens in Sushupti Avastha of the Sukshma Shariram, the mind is resolved, the sense organs are resolved, everything is resolved, except for one thing. What is that?
The Pancha Prana.
Yes, the Pancha Prana is not resolved because it is needed to keep the body alive. You need to come back to a living body, right? So the Pancha Prana stays back to keep the body alive, and the rest of all the components of the Sukshma Shariram, they are resolved. Okay? So with this we have finished Sushupti Avastha and therefore the Avastha Trayam as well. There were 11 portions of Anatma, if you remember, when we started out. So we finished Shariratrayam, which is Sthula, Sukshma, Karana, Shariram. I hope you remember in detail. We discussed at length all of these. And then we also finished just now the Avastha Trayam, the Jagrad Avastha, Swapna Avastha, and Sushupti Avastha. These three are also done. And so now what remains is Panchakosha, the 5 koshas, the 5 sheets. And this Panchakosha is actually no new thing. It is simply a way of looking at Shariratrayam in a slightly different way. Okay, so we are already familiar with most of it, but it is just looking at Sukshma Shariram, the Shariratrayam, the 3 bodies, in a slightly different way. Now, under Panchakosha, there are 5 categories. There are 5 sheets or layers, we can say. Annamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha, and Anandamaya Kosha. Now, the first one, Annamaya Kosha, is nothing but Sthula Sharira. And the second, that is the Sukshma Shariram, is nothing but a combination of 3 of them, Pranamaya, Manomaya, and Vijnanamaya. These 3 put together is Sukshma Shariram, and Anandamaya Kosha is nothing but Karana Shariram. Okay, so we are simply looking at the same three bodies through a new lens, through a different methodology. We're just looking at these same three things. Now, these 5 koshas are, you can say, 5 levels where there is an error or there is a misidentification, where I think I am, something else, where I know that I exist, but I don't know what I am, and therefore I have made the wrong conclusion at these 5 levels. Okay, so 5 possible levels of error, of misidentification, and now we are going to see those 5 levels and dismiss them as anatma. Okay, today we'll start with Annamaya Kosha. First, we'll read this. The author says he's listing the names of all the different koshas. So we can read this first. Panchakosha ke Annamaya Pranamaya Manomaya
Annamaya
Annamaya
Maya
Vijnanamaya Anandamaya
Annamaya Anandamaya Shri.
These are just the names of the 5 koshas. Okay, the 5 different layers. And now we will see what is Annamaya kosha. Annamaya kaha.
Annamaya
Annarasenaiva bhutva.
Annarasanaiva Bodha
Annarasenaiva vruddhim prapya.
Annarasena
Annarupa pritivyam yadviliyate.
Annarupa
Tadannamaya kosha stula shariram.
Tadannamaya Shariram.
Okay. So we'll start with Annamaya kosha, the first of the koshas. Now you can see here that the author has used the word sthula shariram. He wants to denote that this Annamaya kosha is nothing but the physical body that he is talking about. So Annamaya, the word Annam means food. Maya means product, okay, or karyam, product of. So this kosha is a product of food. Kosha. Kosha means a layer or a sheath or a covering. So when you say Annamaya kosha, it is a product or the covering that is made out of food. Why? Because this body is made out of food, right? It is made out of matter that is come to us through the form of food, right? So we'll see how that is now. So the author says, Annarasenaiva bhutva. Bhutva means to be born, to come out of. So to be born out of Annarasa. Annarasa is the nutrition of food, the essence of food. So through the nutrients of food, we are born. How? So when the mother and the father eat, the food is taken up by them and all the nutrition of the food is taken to all the different organs and is used up for building and maintaining the body, right? And in the male body, what is created is the sperm. It is called shukra. And in the female body, the egg is created, shonita, right? And these are also products of food because everything that is produced by the body has been produced out of a transformation of food, right? So then what happens? The shukra and shonita combine. We call this fertilization of the egg, and this is called conception. right? So this is how the human baby is produced, through the combination of this Shukra Shonita. So through this food alone, the baby is conceived. So that is why Anna Rasenaiva Bhutva. Through the food, through the nutrition of food, the Shukra Shonita are produced and they combine and give rise to this small human fetus, right, in the mother's womb. That is called as conception, and that is called here by the author Anna Rasenaiva Bhutva. So this step, we can say, Annam, that is food, is Srishti Karanam, the cause of creation, the basis of creation of the body of a human being is Annam, is food. Okay. Now, is it enough that the baby is conceived? No, the baby now has to grow. First in the mother's womb, then it comes outside and it continues to grow outside, right? How? Through food alone. So when the baby is in the mother's womb, if you've seen pregnant mothers, they eat a little more than normal, right? And so this extra food is used to build up the body of the baby. And so in this way, the body of the baby gains mass. And then it is born, and now the baby continues to eat, right? Initially, we start with milk, and then we start with soft food, and slowly we progress on to solid foods also. And in this way, the baby grows. It acquires size, it acquires mass, right? So, Vriddhim Prapya. Vriddhim Prapya means gains growth. Vriddhim is to grow, Prapya is to gain. So, gains or grows, you can say. Overall, the baby is now growing. And how does he grow? By food alone, through food alone. And how do we know this? So, we have all heard cases of malnutrition. If you have seen or read about malnutrition, then you know that it actually stunts the growth of children if they are malnourished, if they don't get sufficient proper food. So food is the basis of sustenance and growth also. And that is why Annam is Sthiti Karanam, the basis of sustenance. Okay. Then what happens? And finally, at the end of life, after the body is dropped, what happens? This body now is combined back to the elements. You can say joins back to the earth. It has come from the earth and it goes back to the earth. And in that way, it continues to, it feeds the next generation of crops, right? The body, once it is buried, it combines with the earth and it becomes food for the next generation of crops. And that crop is further used to feed the living beings. So in this way, this soil, this earth becomes the basis for the dissolution of the body also. And so the author says this Annam is the basis of dissolution also of the body. Okay, yad viliyate. Viliyate means to dissolve or to go back. So this body goes back to this Anna Rupa Prithivyam. Prithivyam is the earth. So Anna Rupa Prithivyam means this food which is in the form of earth. Because finally earth is the giver of all food, right? So Anna Rupa Prithivyam, it goes back to this earth who is the giver of all food. So in essence, goes back to Annam itself. And so, Tad Annamaya Kosha, this kind of body, this physical body, which is dependent on food, which is born out of food, survives by food, and which finally goes back to food and becomes food, that is Annamaya Kosha. Okay, is this clear?
Yes.
Beautifully explained, Nedaji, relating with the 3 states of resolution. Very nice.
So, any questions?
Madaji, I was just thinking that with Nanda Gopalji, in the Patanjali Yoga Sutras, we are studying like part of Samkhya philosophy, and the things we're learning here are very similar to the Samkhya tattvas, like the mind, the koshas, how things are divided, classified, the anatma part. So I was wondering if Vedanta has influence, like historically in Vedanta origins, has influence from Sankhya, or are the Vedas who are giving this classification, and that's why Samkhya and Vedanta share them?
It comes in the Vedas, and both Sankhya and Vedanta, whatever they speak is finally from the Vedas. They are just speaking the words of the Vedas. So you will find similarities. The difference will be in the interpretation. They may start the same, but they may not end up in the same place. So that is one way. Also, all of these, many of these things, including the creation of the universe and many of these tattvams and those things, Vedanta has borrowed from Sankhya, because it finally doesn't matter. It is anatma. You can split anatma and analyze anatma in any way you like, and it may not even be wrong, right? But ultimately, the point of Vedanta is to drop all this, and the main focus, the Tathvaryam, is Atma. So we look at all this finally just to drop it and to move on. So to an
Thank you.
extent, some notions are borrowed from Sankhya.
Oh,
Okay.
Medaji, is it that the Upanishads therefore are mostly talking about Atma only and rather not Anatma?
Yes. The main purpose of Upanishads is Jnana Kanda, Atma Jnanam. And that is why we actually don't spend so much time studying about Sthula Shariram and all those things. You know, because Sthula Shariram itself is such a vast, complicated system. You ask all the doctors in this group how long they studied about Sthula Shariram for. I'm sure they will tell you 5 to 7 years just on the body, right? Upanishad could have also gone into an equal amount of detail, right? They could have, it's not that Upanishad is not capable of analyzing the body to that depth, but when they don't give it so much relevance, by not saying also something is being said, and we have to grasp that. Means it is not so relevant, because finally it is another. Yes.
Medaji,
Yeah, Vandana Mathur.
the word viliyate means merges back into earth. Viliyate, the exact meaning would be dissolve.
Viliyate means to dissolve or absorbed, you can say. Dissolved is a better word. Yes. Lata?
Medaji, can we say Golakam is Annamaya Kosha?
You say Golakam belongs to Annamaya Kosha.
Okay. Okay.
Golakam is one part of Annamaya Kosha. It's like saying, is my hand Annamaya Kosha? One part of your Annamaya Kosha.
Got it. Okay. Thanks.
We'll stop here for today, because the next part, it will be better to do the next 3 continuously together. I don't want to break that, because otherwise it becomes difficult to follow it. So we'll stop here. If any more questions, we can spend a few more minutes. Otherwise, we can.
I wanted to clear the difference between prajna and prajna that you explained.
Yeah. Prajna means complete ignorance, total ignorance. And prajna is the wise one or wisdom, you can say.
Okay.
So the a, the elongation is in a different place. So for prajna, it will be pra plus agnya. Taina agnya, total ignorance. Prajna is wisdom.
Thank you.
Hi, Medaji. I have one question regarding the Sushupti Avastha. So, hello.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah. So in Atma Bodha, we learned that for us to be conscious of something, there are two vrittis, idam vritti and aham vritti.
Yeah.
So in the Sushupti Avastha, does it mean there is no vritti at all, or the idam vritti is not entertained by the aham vritti?
The idam vritti is not possible because the mind is dissolved, right?
Okay, so that means there is no vritti at all.
The aham vritti, which is basically RC, that is there. That is why you know that you experience sleep and you know you experienced no experience.
Okay. Does it mean, okay, the mind is dissolved and then there are no vrittis at all? And only after waking up that this idam vritti comes in, that, okay, you had a nice deep sleep. Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Medaji,
Yeah.
After deep sleep, one gets up. That means though the Sukshma Sarira is embedded in the Karana Sarira, the Pancha Prana is still active.
Yeah.
That is why they are able to come back and again start from the wakeful state. While after death, the Pancha Prana vanishes, right?
Everything is resolved. It's a total resolution, whereas here it is a partial resolution.
That is why after death, one is not able to come back to the wakeful state.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Medaji, this out of body experience, etc., is that also part of the deep sleep?
They are none of the three states. It would come under a different category, but we don't bother about them so much.
What is that category?
It is called Ubhaya Avastha. Shankaracharya makes a brief mention somewhere, but he also does not elaborate because it is not important.
Thank you.
Yes, Joe.
So Medaji, I was checking some notes of like long time ago when I took another Bhagavad Gita classes, and in my notes I have that the causal body is made of the three gunas in equilibrium. So in Tattva Bodha, this statement is correct according to Adi Shankaracharya's teaching.
Yes, you can say that. We also do say that in some of the later texts in Upanishads and others, that it is a state of equilibrium of the three gunas. But you have to understand, even the three gunas are also in a resolved state, in a non-differentiated state.
So how does this equilibrium gets disrupted?
Yes, that is one of those we don't know the answer questions.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Lata, is your hand raised?
No, Medaji actually answered my question. Thanks. I'll lower it. Thank you.
Okay, we'll stop for the day and we'll conclude with the prayers.
पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
Om Tat Sat.
Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.
Hari
Tat Tat.
That's
Om Namah
Thank you.
Shivaya.
Thank you, Vedaji.
Thank you, Medaji.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you,
Medaji.
Midaji.